This is my motel room. I'm in Christchurch at the moment. I've come here to pick up a truck. It's quite a nice motel room actually. It's a good price. It's got a single bedroom. This is the bathroom, and that fat guy in the mirror is me. And I'm just filling up the spa bath. Isn't that flash? We don't get that at 42B Campbell Street, but never mind. I'm going to enjoy it anyway. Now, as I said, I'm here to pick up a truck. I only get it tomorrow morning. It's going to need a bit of work before I can use it to pull a fifth wheel caravan, but that's fine. I mean, I can do a bit of work myself on it. It's I bought it at auction from Turner's. I'm going to pick it up in the morning. So I'll bring you along and show you what I brought. Okay. Like I've been saying, I'm off to pick up my truck tomorrow. Turner's auction truck depot is just not too far around the corner. I picked the nearest motel, and I think I made a pretty good choice actually. But yes, I'll show you the truck when we get there. It's a little bit different. It's not what everyone would expect me to buy, but well, you know, I'm not like a lot of people, but yeah, it'll be different anyway. I've had a lovely spa and a bath. I haven't had a bath in, oh God, 6 years. So yeah, it's been very nice. But of course I felt I had to sort of stand up and show myself off afterwards because just so used to having a shower. Well, I'll get back to you in the morning. Okay, bye. Okay, so this is a truck that I brought. Some of the more observant of you may have already noticed that it's actually a fire truck. It's pretty hard to miss, I guess. You might ask why I brought a fire truck. Well, you know, it's government surplus. It's got a good 6-litre motor, diesel engine. The back can come off, I'm told, with just a few bolts, and put a normal tray on, and it would be perfect for towing a fifth wheel caravan. 66,000 kilometres. How can you go wrong? That's what I feel anyway. Can't be wrong. The trip from Christchurch to Picton to catch a ferry was kind of uneventful. There was a lot of roadworks. There was probably 5 sets of roadworks with lights where you had to stop and wait. The 4.5 hour trip that it said in the GPS ended up being 5.5 hours by the time all the stops and fuel for me and fuel for the vehicle. But we finally got there, and I'd never been on the ferry before. I mean, never lived that far away from it, but I'd never been on it. But I thought, oh well, all you have to do is go there and book in and get on. You know, if the worst comes to worst, I might have to go the next day. When I arrived, it was one of the ferries had been out of operation for a little while, and that meant they were 20% down on their loading capacity, which in turn meant that the big trucking firms and everything like that got first dibs on any space on the thing. And it meant that I had to wait in Picton for 5 days to be able to get on the ferry to go to the North Island, which is kind of depressing because, you know, I brought the truck because I thought, oh, well, that's a good price, you know, it's nice and cheap in that. But by the time I added in another $650 onto the price for the motel, it wasn't so cheap anymore, you know. But yeah, things happen, and you know, that's how the world turns, I suppose. But the motel I stayed at wasn't exactly the best motel I've ever been in. The one in Christchurch was a really nice motel, but this one was kind of the opposite. It was my room was right on a main highway that the trucks use, and right throughout the night we had trucks racing past and things like that. It cost $15 a night more than the one in Christchurch, and I had a single room with just a small ensuite. It had a microwave for cooking and a jug and toaster, of course, but the microwave actually had the turn dials to get the time and things like that. So it wasn't exactly a modern, up-to-date thing. You know, you make do with what you've got, I guess. But the vehicle got to Picton good as gold, and on Saturday at 2 o'clock I boarded the ferry finally, and it was a 4-hour trip, so it was 6 o'clock on Saturday night by the time I arrived in Wellington, which made 8 o'clock by the time I got to Wairarapa. I went over the Rimataka Hill. Yeah, it was a bit depressing, but my daughter knew I was coming and what I had, because I had to arrange, you know, I had to make sure that she had room for me to stay the night, but her children certainly didn't. My granddaughters, twin granddaughters, they're 13, and so I came racing up the drive, tooting the horn with all the side lights going. Didn't have a siren or flashing lights, of course, but I made it very visible, and theirs is a back section, so you know there was no mistaking that the house was for the truck was for them. And one looked out the window and said, well, the letters of what she said is WTF. I think her mother might have given her a crack around the back of the head for that. And the other one said, Mum, shall I rush around and lock all the doors? I don't know whether the firemen sort of want people to do that. I sort of, once they found out who it was, they were quite happy and excited. But we spent Saturday night sort of visiting people that didn't know that I'd brought the fire engine in the same sort of manner, and Sunday morning as well. I noticed on Sunday morning when I got up, one of my granddaughters was doing a TikTok video dancing on top of the fire engine, so they were obviously happy that it was there. But it made for a bit of humour for everyone anyway. Right. What made Tom? Well, as I said last time, there was a 30-year age gap between my parents. My mother was 20 when she got married, and my father was 50. My grandfather and father fought together in the First World War, the 1914-1918 war. I don't remember any time in my younger years when they were actually talking nicely to each other. It was always very abusive. It wasn't nice at all. When I was young, all I can remember is lots of nightmares, and I became a bit of an escape artist. I found that I could sneak away now and again and get out and go down the road and escape. I guess it was because I just didn't like being around it all. There's the story of my father driving one of his trucks, probably 3 or 4 k's down the highway out of town, noticing a young child and realising it was me. That's another one of my adventures. They obviously, my mother and father talked about this a bit, and they came up with a perfect solution. In those days it was common to have like a harness on children with a lead coming off it, much like a dog does, so you could sort of hold on to your child and they wouldn't run away into traffic or something like that, I guess. But they came up with the idea. We had one of the long clotheslines, with the props at the end and things like that. So they just hooked the harness onto the clothesline. So my days were sort of spent running up and down the clothesline, and maybe a metre on each side I could sort of spend, and it wasn't very much fun, but I remember I didn't enjoy it during duck shooting season. My father never went duck shooting or anything, but everyone gave him ducks and swans and geese and that, and they'd be hanging from the clothesline by their necks until they went to the butcher, or my mother plucked them, or whatever happened to them. I'm pretty sure that added to the nightmares a little bit as well. But sort of, my father, he left all the discipline up to my mother, and there was a bit of a joke, so I could get away with a fair bit of things and stuff like that. But I remember quite clearly, actually, the day that my brother and my sister, one of my sisters and brother-in-law, we all went out swimming in one of the local water holes. I remember it because they never used to take me anywhere, they were so much older than me. But when I came back, Mum wasn't there, and that was nothing unusual, but it took a couple of weeks before I realised, she wasn't coming back. I sort of went into a room which was separate from my father's room, and it had all been emptied out, and I sort of had to work it all out for myself. I was 6 at the time, so it was a fair bit to sort of work around and stuff like that. I knew I wasn't allowed to mention my mother's name or anything to my father or anything, so because he didn't like the thought of her being mentioned at all. Actually, he was quite happy with her name never being mentioned again in the house. But I did have a friend or someone tell me later on in life that the story was that my father had saved my grandfather in the war. My grandfather, he suffered mustard gas poisoning and very nearly died, but apparently my father saved him somehow, and as a reward, many years later, he gave him his daughter. So I don't know whether it's true or not, but I've got no reason to disbelieve it, because I know that my mother and my grandfather lived in the same town for 20 years and went out of their way not to speak to each other. If one saw the other coming down the street, one would cross over or go into a shop or something. And there was a lot of animosity. After my mother left, my grandfather started visiting again, so, you know, maybe it was true, who knows. But that's something else that's interesting about my life anyway. So thank you.